Here back for another update. Let's take a look at PulseX over here. And I'm very bullish on this coin, as most of you know. And I'm bullish on the whole ecosystem because investing in the ecosystem is kind of like investing on a leverage play of Ethereum, right? Now, when we take a look at Ethereum, it's likely going to go ahead and follow in its footsteps, right? We have a 3-wave move down in your W, 3-wave move up in your X, and now we're very close to finishing up this last move here for your 5th wave of your C wave within your Y wave to the downside. Either we see a nice bounce come in here for a truncation of the fifth wave in which our wave 5 goes sideways, right? Or if we lose 2217, then it's likely it'll come down to the 1891 region to backtest this Wyckoff accumulation range. Okay, we already backtested it here at the 70.2% fib, but let's be open-minded to the possibility of us having one more drive down here for a double backtest before continuing higher. Okay, now going back to PulseX over here, we see what's called a 335 Elliott wave flat pattern. So this is the top of your range right over here, and we haven't had any impulsive moves up yet in the PulseChain ecosystem. This whole entire move here was a corrective move, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So you had your airdrop over here, you then had your massive rise to the upside, and then you had your dump, right? No different than any other coin. You had your pump, dump, and then the structure starts from there. What we had over here is a B, and then you have your C wave down, right? So you have a 3-wave move down within your A wave, right? This is your 3-wave move down in your A. This is your 3-wave move up in your B. And then for your C wave, you need a 5-wave move to the downside. So this over here would be your 5-wave move. You have your wave 1, wave 2, your 3rd wave, your 4th wave coming up a little bit over 70%, and now we're coming down for our last leg in the correction, which would be your wave 5 of C. Okay, this over here would be our minute degree. Okay, right over here. Okay, so what we see over here is a classic 335 Elliott wave flat pattern, and it's likely going to come down towards the 78 to 88.6% fib. All you got to do is come to your chart over here, take a fib from this low here in September 2023 up to the very high in March. As you can see, we did see a nice local bottom here at the 70.2% fib, hence why we rallied by over 70%. However, that rally was sold off, and it looks like we're going to come down to the lower fibs. Okay, so at 4 zeros 1493 and 4 zeros 1168. And what you can do is you can use the magnet so you can get a little bit more pinpoint target. So you take a fib from here up to here when you use your magnet. Okay, so it would come down to these fibs over here. This 5th wave would either bottom out at 4 zeros 1502 or 4 zeros 1174. Okay, so within this region over here is where I would be expecting a bottom to come in. And nothing really moves without PLS, PulseChain, right? When we take a look at PulseChain, let's go back here and take a look at PulseChain. Okay, so this is PulseChain over here. Okay, so nothing has changed. It's doing the exact same thing here as PulseX, right? 3-wave move down in your A, 3-wave move up in your B, and now we're working on our 5th wave to the downside. Within this 5th wave here of our C wave, we have what's called a ending diagonal in which the waves overlap each other, and you can see that we're overlapping in the form of a bullish descending broadening wedge. Now, excuse me, with a bullish descending broadening wedge, you're going to have a 3-wave move within each of the waves, right? So you have your A, B, C for your 1, your A, B, C for your 2, your A, B, C for your 3, A, B, C for your 4, This was your A for your fifth. This was your B for your fifth. And now we're working on our C for your fifth. And this would likely come down towards the very low here, sitting at 4 zeros, 2782. So we're in the last stretch of this correction over here in the PulseChain ecosystem. As you can see, we're just about to finish up this fifth wave here of this C wave. Okay, and then we can start our run up. And just remember that we are following in the footsteps of ETH, right? When we take a look at Ethereum over here, we do see a little rejection here at the 38.2% fib. Wouldn't surprise me we go ahead and finish up this fifth wave either towards 2217, 2274 to 2217, or we have a little bit of a deeper correction down towards the 78.6% fib at 1891. Okay, so we'll likely go ahead and bottom out with Ethereum. When we take a look at PulseChain, we do see that we don't have much downside to go. I would say worst case scenario from current prices, we have about 18, a little bit over 18% more down to go, right? When we take a look at PulseX, this is PulseX over here. When we take a look at PulseX, worst case scenario, we see that the downside is, the worst case scenario would be 32%. The 786 is about 13% away. Okay? So we're very close to finishing up this C wave here. Either we bounce at any of these fibs, and we'll also take a look at incentive token as well. And as you can see with incentive, it's doing the exact same thing as PulseChain, right? Bullish descending broadening wedge in the form of an ending diagonal, and we're about to finish up this fifth wave here. Okay. You can see that we lost the 50% here. You see how we lost this 50%? And now we're below it. So it would make sense for us to come down to the next fib at the 618 sitting at $1.37. And if we lose $1.37, then it would likely come down towards the 70.2% fib at $1.04 and then see a nice pop up from there. Okay, so the whole ecosystem looks like it's bottoming out, and the reason for that is because we see that Ethereum is very close to bottoming out. Okay. Now, we can also take a look at HEX as well. We can take a look at pHex. So this is pHex over here. Right over here. Let me see here. Okay. Okay, so this is pHex, and it's doing the exact same thing, right? This is your Wyckoff accumulation range. And then what you have is your 3-wave move down for your A wave, your 3-wave move up for your B wave, and now we're working on our 5-wave move to the downside for your C wave. Within this 5th wave of our C wave, we have what's called a bullish descending broadening wedge. Okay, very similar to that of PulseX and PLS, along with incentive. Okay, you see? 5-wave move in the form of a bullish descending broadening wedge. And then we see a nice pop up from there. Any price action below this range over here would be considered our manipulation zone. So all this price action here, just consider it as manipulation. You'd want a DCA in here, not financial advice. Let's go ahead and take a look at, HEX over here. Because I like to always cover HEX because HEX was the first coin before the PulseChain ecosystem. And like I said in my last video, we're still consolidating here within this ending diagonal. Okay, so just be very careful putting in bids here. Definitely don't go all in at once. Make sure you DCA. You see, we're just oscillating here within this ending diagonal, and we're reaching within this 70.2 to 78.6% region over here. So if you take a fib all the way from this low over here, so from the inception up to this high, you can see that we're dipping into this 70.2 to 78.6% fib region. Once you get to this region in the market, it likely means you're very oversold. Okay, so don't be surprised if we continue to see chop here, continue to see chop before we come up to the retracements. So let's go up to the 3-day time. Let's go up to the weekly time frame over here, and we would be taking a look at the retracement, the 70.2 to 78.6% retracement sitting at 7 to 12 cent. Worst case scenario, it comes down to the lower retracements at the 50 and the 61.8% fib. But I definitely do think we're going to have a relief rally, because not only are we printing an ending diagonal within a high value area, which would be the 70.2 to 78.6% fib, but we're also printing a monthly MACD cross as well. You see how this is about to cross here with the histogram turning up towards the 0 line, right? So we have the whole ecosystem about to bottom. We have HEX about to form a bottom here within this region, and we have the PulseChain ecosystem forming a bottom as well. This is pHex. Let's take a look at PLS one more time before I wrap up this video. You guys can see that we're within the 5th wave of our ending diagonal. Okay, so you have your wave 1, wave 2, 3, 4, and we're coming down for your 5th wave here. And something I noticed that's very important to watch is this 12-hour price oscillator. You can see how every time it's called the bottoms and tops, right? You have a equal high on the price oscillator, but a higher high on the price, and then we dump, right? Lower low on the price, higher low on the oscillator, and then we pump. Higher high, lower high, dump, right? Every single time this price oscillator has worked without fail. Even back here in March, right? Look at the massive divergence that we printed over here, and then look how much we fell. So every single pivot point in the market, in the PulseChain ecosystem, the price oscillator has called on the 12-hour time frame. And what do we see here, right? As we're slowly rounding off here, we see that the price oscillator is slightly making higher lows and is continuing to stay above this trend line. So it wouldn't surprise me that if the price oscillator comes down here, right, like that, and then we see a bounce come in from there. Okay, and this is the same scenario with PulseX as well. If you go on PulseX here and look at the price oscillator, you can see that it's called every bottom and top. So we'll just type in PPO over here for price oscillator, and you can see 12-hour time frame called every bottom and top, right? Equal high, higher high, dump, lower low, higher low, pump, higher high, lower high, dump, right? Higher high, lower high, dump. And then we've just been making slight bullish divergence all throughout this rounding bottom over here. Okay, so it looks like the ecosystem is coming very close to a bottom. I would be expecting a bounce at the 78.6 to 88.6% fib. All I did to find these fibs was I took a fib from this low here up to this high, and you'd want to look for a bounce to come in at the 786 and the 88.6% fib. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed the PulseX video and the PulseChain ecosystem. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace out and take it easy. See you in the next one.